Silly. What? Silly.
Brooklyn Sample, how are you doing?
Hi, Mel. What are you drinking? Wait, what are you drinking tonight? What are you having?
A vodka soda.
Oh,
which I will probably have to before we go into the episode, right? Crazy.
So surprising.
Mm-hmm. I thought about having wine, and then I went into the garage, and
I like that little roll.
Thank you. It is 110 degrees out, and so Charlie was keeping the wine in the garage in the shelf, and I went in there and thought, this is not going to be good. So we're going to dispose of the wine.
Oh.
That does not go through my belly.
Right.
And into my veins and personality.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to dispose of that because I was like, oh, we forgot to move it to, because for a while when it's 45 degrees outside, it's great.
Yeah.
Actually,
no good bottles in there, were there? Like really good bottles?
No, but they were like the bottles we buy from like Costco or whatever that are like $20, but they're nice. Yeah. The Maomis or whatever, which I really like the Maomi.
Me too.
It reminds me actually of something that when I was younger, a friend of mine had a grandpa that was from Sicily, and he told me that you always store your wine in 45 degrees because red wine is supposed to be chilled. It's not supposed to be warm red wine. And at first I was like, what? I never heard that. Girl from Ohio who knows everything. And because he's Sicilian. Yeah. And so ever since then, I'm like, I always chill my red wine.
Yeah. I love a chilled red wine.
Yeah.
I really do. Well, I'm having a Garden State cider.
Oh, I've never had that before. Is that yummy?
They're really good. Yep. It's gluten-free, vegan-friendly, no added sugars, no concentrates, and it's super crisp. It's really refreshing in the summer, by the way.
Crisp.
Oh, I love that's one of my favorite words.
I know.
Crisp, areola, and schmegma.
Schmegma, but not moist. Not moist.
I can get down on moist. I actually no problems with it, and I actually like to say it and see those reactions from people who I'm not sure which side of the moist coin they fall on. I'm not quite sure. I think it's telling.
I think it is too, because actually I don't mind the word moist. It makes me giggle a little bit. And I can feel it in my jowls when I say it.
Yes, exactly.
But Patty Vasquez, an old friend, is the stand-up. Yeah. Well, she's a ton of things. Jesus. She hasn't. We should have her on the show. We should ask her to be on the show.
Come on, Patty.
Patty Vasquez. Let's talk about it. She's amazing.
Listen. Now look.
I have a lot of stories with Patty Vasquez, but maybe I saved those for when, because we were
for Patty Vasquez.
For when Patty Vasquez is here. But I feel like she hates the word panties and moist, and I feel like that was such a thing back then too.
My husband hates the word panties. Hates them. And making out. Hates it.
I don't like the word lover.
Oh.
I think it's stupid. What the fuck? Stop it.
It's like an active verb, but noun. Like lover. But it's active.
Yeah, but it reminds me of like a hippie woman in a muumuu talking about her lover. And I hate her.
See, I think of like not so much hippie, but more disco 70s. Like a guy with a big, huge mustache and tight bell bottoms and like platform shoes.
Kind of like how your new house looks, like a panty dropper house.
Ooh, yeah. So my dad,
your panty hopper.
Ooh!
Yeah.
No, it's a panty stew.
It's a panty stew. That's what it's called. Tell me.
When my dad was in college, and they used to have house parties, they would put a big old stew pot in the front lawn, and girls would take their underwear off and throw them in the pot, and a guy would be out there with a big spoon and be stirring them and call it panty stew.
Because it's like a stew of STDs.
Especially in the 70s. Oh, God.
Yes. Like the key drop parties. Oh, my God. Her house, I'm telling you guys, Brooklyn's house is fucking beautiful, and it's like one of those houses that you can tell an architect did it, and it has all these beautiful windows and stuff. But you walk in, and that shit looks like drop your keys at the door. We are getting it on, friends. No joke. Is that that's who you're becoming? That's fine by me.
Hey, look, listen. I'm like in my 40s and living life.
Right? Once the kids leave the house, oh shit, it's on.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna visit.
on like
I'll have to visit all the time then. Be
it's
like,
called
I'm sorry, Charlie.
I won't be screaming, and I don't scream at my kids all the time, but just like frustrated, you know.
Oh, I thought you meant during sex.
Oh no, I mean just in general, I'll be really relaxed and like not wound tight. No, it doesn't matter. Your kids, first of all, my kids aren't going anywhere. I can tell you that right now. They've already pretty much established that. As much as my oldest, who's 17, going to be a senior, you know, was almost like, what do you think a good studio would cost in Old Town Pasadena? I was like, look, dude.
Listen.
Nothing your little intern minimum wage is going to pay for.
Let's calm the fuck down. Yeah.
I mean, you're more than welcome to go try, but I think the reality is like we really started breaking it down for him, but my kids aren't going to go anywhere. We live in LA. He's going to film school. He's going to stay local.
Yeah. They want to stay in the industry.
My middle, like, he's working on business right now in high school. Like it's an academy, but I don't know if that's what he'll do. You know, my middle's he's creative but he is very intelligent. Like he can go on both. He can put kind of like us, like producer hat, creative hat. Like he can, which Kai can too. Kai, my oldest, can too. But then I have an almost 11-year-old as well. So
you got a lot of time left with them, which is good.
By the time they move out of this house, I'll be ready to move out of this house as well.
No, you're never leaving that house. It's not happening.
Oh no.
Although in those years, though, that house will probably be worth double what it is now, and you'll be like, yeah, okay, well.
I mean, let's just cash out.
Right? We have actually, let's talk about this month. Get ready for a little bit of Mel Brooke. Ooh. This month is kind of crazy. We have a lot of good people on.
It's crazy, and lucky for our listeners, we've got 5 Wednesdays this month. Not like we only cycle out a month show. It just continues on and on, but we just like to.
That's true. I guess. But we do the rotation of like the real where we get somebody from you know, a real person who's making changes or going through something or building something or whatever. And then we have the
farting around. We're farting around with our friends.
Which our farting around is Rob this month. It's Rob. Yeah, Rob is our farting around with our producer, which is super exciting. Right. Yeah. So you guys get to hear him and talk to him and stuff after all the things. And you'll see how nice he is because he's just so sweet and like jovial. Is that a word? Did I make that word up?
Yeah.
He's so lovely. And then we get in the picture and he just giggles because we are ridiculous and gross.
We're so ridiculous. But he's so great. And he's been so wonderful because we're coming up on the year of working with him. Hiring him about a year ago, and so we thought that it would be great. And he's got some cool stuff happening that's not producer related, which is really neat. Yeah. We always throw his name out there, like Rob. Come on, Rob. And now you're gonna get to meet him. Mm-hmm.
He's incredibly talented. We also have our industry insider this month, who is going to be Tyler, who is multifaceted. He compared himself to the Berenstain Bears. Do you remember why that was?
Oh, yeah. So Tyler Townsend, he and I actually went to college together, and he's done so many different aspects of the entertainment industry. And I think I
don't know if we did get him to say it, but we'll have to maybe.
Apparently, it's something like Berenstain Bears don't do as we do as we say, or I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, something bad. It was something like failure.
It was basically like, look, you want me to tell you how I got into this part of the industry, and I'm going to tell you what don't do what I did.
Yeah,
but here's what you should do. So the Berenstain Bears thing came in. Yeah.
So the people that want to get in the industry, like my nephew and Kai, and like people, they will learn. Well, and anybody in the world that's listening, getting that advice of what not to do and forget, and somebody else made those mistakes so you don't have to. That's freaking huge.
It
That's
is. And
huge.
also, even if you're not trying to get into an industry position anywhere, it's still interesting, I think, to figure out, because it takes so much and so many people and so much energy and talent that you don't see when you watch television, film, any of that stuff. So I think sometimes what I love about having our industry people on is that I hope it gives even folks who aren't in the industry or have no desire to be in it an inside look on how somebody even gets that kind of job, or how do you or what are you doing? Like, how does that happen?
That even exists, because oftentimes, especially as an actor, you'll get asked like, well, what have you done? What have I seen you in? And it's like, do you have any idea how big the industry is out here? Like,
right.
If I work constantly and you don't see me, that has nothing to do with how hard I work. Like, I am booking, I am doing a lot of different things. And like every single thing you hear, see on TV, radio, internet, whatever, that's all industry stuff. It's engineering, it's audio, it's actors, it's voiceover, it's studied, it's, so it just is, it's funny that people would be like, oh, you're not successful unless you're like a celebrity. And it's like, actually, that's a fucking worst case scenario, is being a celebrity. Like,
that's like the 1%.
Yes, and who fucking wants to be a celebrity? Yucko.
And that's probably being generous.
Yeah,
like 1% of the entire industry from every facet.
Yeah. There's a reason that the SAG strike is going on and industry is shutting down out here, because there are so many actors that do so many things on so many levels that we don't think about, or normal people don't think about, civilians don't think about, right?
The average folk.
The average, folk out there that they don't think about, that they go, well, it's not all the big paying celebrities. It's not. It's all of the people that you ever see everywhere.
Well, and also you'll see that this strike it is to also protect those celebrities, but it's really those people that are not, that can't even. So basically the SAG the union provides health insurance for members who make over like 27,000 a year, 26,000 a year. And then that's yearly. So if you make that one year, but you don't make it the next year, you don't get health insurance. Right. And I think it was like 87% of SAG members do not meet that $27,000 a year mark.
Yeah.
That's 80%.
Because we often get contracts that will say, it's crazy. We often get contracts that will say like in perpetuity or whatever it is. And because you want to work and you want to try to make up to that amount to get your health insurance for your family, right? But then they can use your image and your voice forever. And they can also then create it. Did you see the Black Mirror?
No.
It is really good. I mean, it's kind of shitty because Black Mirror is kind of like, I get it. I fucking get it. But it's a great idea. And the Black Mirror is basically about, they use this woman who is not an actor, but they used her from her camera on her phone, from her camera on her computer. They used all of her daily life and they regenerated it from AI to look like her, sound like her, all of the people in her life. And she had no control over it because in her, advisory contract for her phone, she just like signed it, was like, yeah, I agree to terms and services, right? Or terms of service. And in terms of service, it was like anything we capture, we can use. And she didn't even think about it. And so they basically used all of her dialogue that she spoke throughout the day, all the conversations she had, and turned it into an AI that looked like her. And she was getting like flambéed in public because everybody saw the inside of what she was doing, which is basically like if a celebrity uses their voice. And this is the other thing, like ChatGPT, they're using all of this information from the internet, right? Everything that's ever been written, everything that is downloaded, everything that is a conversation, everything. And so you put in a question and it'll come back with either the answer or a form that, that I need a form for, opening a theater, and I need my rules and regulations, and it'll come back and everything will be done. It just does it because it's pulled from the internet everywhere. And these entertainers and writers are now in a situation where they're like, well, they don't need us because there's so much on the internet that they can just pull from and not fucking pay anybody.
It's true. I mean, I will say that they still are pulling it from somewhere. So the original idea, like someone still has to create idea. I think it's just scary. It's scary for writers. I think another aspect, though, it's on the writers' side and like switching over and out of the Writers Guild strike. It's it's just a totally different time, and the way that the industry is streaming now instead of having like reruns and such, where and this goes for actors as well, right? Where
no one's getting residuals.
No one's getting residuals. It's like 3 cents. Or whatever. So for the writers, though, that used to be like a 42-week. We were in the writer's room for like 42 weeks working on a show, and you were contracted on that show. Yeah. Now it's 2 weeks. You're under contract for that show, for the show. You're in the writer's room for only 2 weeks. So the rest of the time you're not writing, and you're under contract, and you can't go get another writing job.
Yeah, that's right.
So
people
are just, it's like they're screwing you.
Yeah.
So, writers just aren't making the money they used to write, and actors are, because I did Call of the Wild. I was on that, but just, as like a extra background person.
Yeah.
And I know that they scanned my likeness for CGI because I was in a lot of the scenes with the dog. It was CGI. So they scanned me so that they could go in and, you just think about that.
Put
You're
you
like,
in. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. We did the Ruggable commercial as a family, and they can use it. Now, our contract was like for a year, and then they could renew it if they were going to use us. But we, as a commercial actor, we have been very agents and managers and stuff have been very like, don't go union, because nothing commercial is booking union. Because back when I was here before and I was booking union, I would make 30 grand off of a 1 day shoot, because then my residuals would start coming in, and that was like my whole year. It was great, right? And then with this, if you want to be in a commercial, you go non-union because everything is streaming. So they were using our Ruggable commercial crazy. Hulu, Netflix. I would have people be like, I think I just saw you guys in a commercial. And I was like, yeah, but we got paid $1,500 a person or something like that. And then we got a buyout. But we were like, and they were lovely and it was fun to work. But I think for a while, I kept thinking like, well, I got to stay non-union so that I can work and so that I can whatever. And now I'm kind of like, wait a minute. I'm then perpetuating all of these, executives and advertising agencies and stuff to be like, oh, we don't really have to pay them. It's like, wait a minute. No, this is our, they were talking about doing pay for auditions. They were trying to figure out how recently they were talking about, listen, we will spend an hour and a half in that fucking room, not live. In my studio, I have to sign in 10 minutes before my call time, and I will wait there for an hour before I'm even seen. And I'm like going, I have Brooke in a little bit. I'm working on other things. My kids need to be picked up from school. And I'm standing in my studio by myself, waiting in the waiting room of Zoom with all these fucking other actors like talking, and like, how am I supposed to feel prepared and like be a good performer? And it just is, it's so fucked up. Like if they had to pay us, also because I know we're going on a long time, but also because maybe this is just the episode.
I think it's the episode.
Yeah. But also because when we would have to drive, to auditions and stuff like that, but we knew that was kind of part of the deal, right? Like you drive to an audition, you whatever. But now that everything is done online, casting directors used to have to rent out a space for the amount of hours, or their regular space or wherever offices, they would rent it out so that they could have people come in for auditions. And now they don't have to do that. A lot of casting directors during COVID left town. but they're still casting. So they can be anywhere in the world and still have their job, and they're doing it out of their living rooms. And there have been often times where I've been in a callback and there's a casting director sitting on their bed with the desk in front of them, and they're trying to just talking to us or whatever and telling us what was, and then they go into, then we go into the room of the director or the producer or the advertisers or whatever. And we have to and it's like, what the fuck? Like at first it was like, wait a minute, you're in your house? This doesn't feel right. Like we have to set up like we're in a studio. We need a gray background with the light hitting a certain way. And like
exactly how you tell us. Yeah.
Exactly. With 6 pages of direction that we have to shoot. That's even for so they used to only call in like 35, 40 actors, right? Even for the first call. And so if you were one of those actors, it was great because you knew that so-and-so was going to call you in, like Vicky Goggin. They were always going to call you in, whatever it was. Great. I formed these relationships. Now they will they'll get 500. Yeah. They'll get 500 submissions. They just have to weed through them. And then if you get a call back from there, so we're spending an hour at least, right, in our studio, memorizing lines, making sure we're set up, making sure we have props that we have to use, sometimes going out and having to do a cartwheel on top of our fucking sofa because they're like, we want to see how agile you can be and silly on your sofa.
Doesn't that remind you of our sketch that we wrote with the for a sketch comedy? The audition and how awkward auditioning was. We like did that whole sketch where it was like, now, like meow like a cat. Now let's see those paws. Now
bark like a dog.
Now bark like a dog. Now pee. Lift your leg and pee. And then you're like in this really weird compromised position at the end, like after they finally stop barking orders, and then they're like, oh, okay, thank you, you're free to go. And you're just like, oh,
you're good.
Oh,
you're good to go.
Okay. And then the walk out is always really awkward.
I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this new thing that we found. Is called Moonlite. It's amazing. We're still reading to our kids at night, and I can be honest with you, sometimes it's tedious because we're reading the same book over and over and over and over. Well, let me tell you, Moonlite is incredible. The magic of Moonlite is simple. It's the experience of reading together with a projection on the wall, because tablets, yes, are a staple for many families, and digital books can be overstimulating sometimes for little kids, and honestly, they leave little room for imagination. But Moonlite bridges the gap between traditional and digital books. Their playful projections, vivid sound effects, and read-along features make this multi-sensory storytime a delight. Moonlite is here to help you create imagination-filled, interactive bedtimes for your whole family and make storytime magical again. Use the code Moonlight10 with our link to get an extra 10% off your purchase. It's very cool. Excellent. Okay, so before we took a little bit of a break, we were talking about how our sketch for auditioning and stuff, and how we had that sketch for Deep Fried Comedy. But I'm going to tell you what, like some of the pages that I get will be like, do a cartwheel on your couch and then go outside and try to jump in the pool and everybody's splashing you. And I'm like, what the fuck is going, like, this is hours of work that I'm putting in. Cause I also have to make sure I'm in horizontal shooting. I have to make sure that they can see and hear me. So I'm hooking up my microphone to it. I have to make sure, like, all of these things, the check off list, cause the first page is usually shooting horizontal. Make sure your lighting is right. Make sure you hook up to some sort of audio device so we can definitely hear you. And make sure there's no sound going on in your background. So there's a list of how to, and then there's a list of to do's, which is, it used to be 6
Jump
pages.
in the pool. Go jogging.
What the fuck?
And say your lines while you're jogging with your camera and your microphone attached.
You saw some of the things I had to do, like, outside, where I had to, like, shoot stuff in my front yard, like CC roller skating or whatever, make sure she has enough room. But then go back inside and make sure I have a full body shot. So, yes, you're probably using just a random wall. Luckily, I have a studio. Random wall in your house. But make sure you can get your camera far enough so we see a horizontal version of you full body. Yeah. Do you know how fucking hard that is? To get a full body shot in like a 10 by 10 room? It's so hard. And so I think that's one of the things is after COVID, when we started having to do a lot of this stuff by ourselves, the production aspect of it, people are like, wait a minute, and you're going to not pay us, and we don't get residuals, and we don't like...
this is out of control.
Stop it. I know. So
there was the show Jury Duty that you got me on. Super funny, Brooke, by the way.
So fucking funny.
They actually were on the picket line and the judge, but all the cast was behind. And he was saying, you may have heard of our show, Jury Duty. We actually were nominated for Emmys because the show was so popular.
It's so good.
And he was like, he basically said kind of what I just said. He was like, if actors don't make a certain amount of money, then they don't get health insurance. Like the 27, he was like, we're in that category, so you do the math.
Yeah.
Basically, they're making less than $27,000 a year to do that show
because it's improv, and
because
it's streaming.
But it won an Emmy.
I know.
So, that's ridiculous.
This started with, do you remember? So there was a writer's strike in 2008, and that was right after a lot of the reality shows and all this stuff was really, starting and making money. And so people were leaning into the reality shows because they cost less, right? So they cost a lot less to make because you don't have to pay anybody until there's like a grand prize or whatever. So I remember people talking about that going, oh, reality TV is the end of, written television. And it wasn't, but streaming then came in and said, oh, wait, we can do streaming non-union and we can do reality and we can do improv and we don't have to pay anybody because we'll pay them for their creative idea and their day rate, which honestly could be like $300.
Yeah.
For a 15-hour shoot.
Yeah. Well, that's what they were even talking about with scanning your likeness. $100 for the day, scan you, because we can pay you $100 today. And then they just use your likeness whenever.
Who the fuck can live like that?
It's
not
crazy.
Fair. On top of which, rent out here is fucking astronomical. I looked at my own, my 2-bedroom that I had with Tim Griffin, who's amazing. He's a really good writer. Hi, Tim. If you're listening, you're probably not, but it's fine. But he and I had an apartment together, and we paid $1,500 for a 2-bedroom off of, we lived in the Tropicana, which was a very Melrose place. Do you know that?
Is that like Franklin area?
It was, it was across the street south of Franklin of Gelson's. Right there. It's amazing. It was right next to Birds and the Celebrity Center, and it was amazing neighborhood. So we loved our apartment, 2-bedroom, but we paid $1,500. And I remember thinking like, holy cow, I was paying $750 before for a studio, like a 2-room studio, and $1,500. Wow, that's a lot. And da-da-da-da-da. But okay, we can do this. And now that same apartment is $3,500.
Well, that 2-bedroom. Also 20 years ago, right?
I mean, yeah, but still.
Yeah. But the actors aren't getting paid anymore.
They're
exactly
getting paid
right. Less.
And that's the thing is they've been talking about look at how flabby my arms are.
Oh, stop.
You do really good sound effects.
Hey.
That was really good. Have you thought about going into voiceover and trying to get on the because you could just do voiceover from home in your free fucking time, Brooke.
Yes,
with your raspy ass beautiful voice.
Right, but how you've pretty much done all you can do to get. Do you know how hard it is to get into the voiceover world though? It is extremely difficult. It's a very small. They only pull from the same people. Yeah. It is very difficult to get into.
I think you need to break that ceiling because you have a great voice.
And I can...
Shit, that's really good.
And I can do...
I don't know what that is. No, but it sounds... Is that like a circumcision?
No. Because I was making it little cuts with my fingers. Oh.
What is it? Is it samurai?
No, you saw this Saturday Night Live episode where they're like, I'm allergic to dairy. On Weekend Update, and they came on and they were like the British, the rappers, and they were going, and he kept going, what was that? What are you guys doing? What is that? And he's like, but we don't have knives. Or we don't have guns in London, so we have knives,
Just
and
have knives.
little tiny knives, and that's what it sounds like when we cut. So stupid.
It's so funny. Oh my God.
Oh, anyway.
I'm going to look into it for you because I feel like, first of all, you have the whole setup there. So you have like a proper, most people don't even have that.
Ooh.
Like you have a proper, like functioning voiceover studio going on right where you are.
I know there's a way you can get on like Kindle
and
or Amazon.
ACX. Yeah, you sign up for ACX, you put your profile up there, and then they have open
samples.
auditions for a ton of stuff. And so you just go in and read copy or do whatever, like you put in your types and the things you can do. And ACX is Amazon. So people that write like weird, crazy ass books
and publish them themselves.
Yeah. They need voiceover artists. So that you have to figure out like your hourly and your minute and, word and whatever, but that's easy to do. And then, but yeah, you send in like not audition, but you send in a sample of what you do with their work, and then they just hire you. Like through ACX, you can work. I guarantee you.
That's pretty crazy. You should, just letting other people know that, that are living wherever.
Yeah.
So you could do that.
And I have thought very, very heartily, that's not a thing. Anyway, I've really thought about doing it, and every time I come in to do it, or I get a lot of notifications like, oh my God, I'm getting wound up. I dropped my microphone. Because it's on one of these little stands, which I think is just hilarious. It's got like three little arms. Oh my God, it's funny.
It's top heavy.
Clearly, the joke is not as good for Rob as I think it is, because Rob's like, "What the fuck, Mom? Like, just put it on a fucking arm.
Just put it on an arm."
But I'll get invites. I'll get like public invites from like for my type, or they heard my reel, or whatever it is. I'll get like 3 week, honestly.
Really?
And I'm like, I'm tired. Because I don't focus on it. But if I actually sat down and was like, I'm going to be a voiceover artist, I'm going to put my time in. My friend David Lawrence, he was on Heroes. He played my dad for many, many things early on. We kept running into each other. Somehow we both got booked, and he played my dad. 3 times this happened for different projects. We were like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, I don't know. It's crazy. So, but he's a really famous voiceover artist, and but he teaches really good classes too. Anyway, they're expensive, but he's worth it. So whatever. But you can actually get started as a voiceover artist. If you have the right equipment and stuff, you can do it. And then I think mine comes from Voice 123, where I get my public invites from. But I haven't been able to focus on it because I feel like I'm pulled in all these different directions, that between Pack Walk and family and our stuff and wanting to do theater, I haven't been able to really focus myself in to do voiceover. And so I'm actually feeling like excited about this new time coming up, where obviously there's a lot going on, but my kids are going to be in school, Charlie's going to be at work, and I have the entire house to myself from 8:30 in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where you and I can be working, and I can actually sit and like put myself into voiceover stuff. Like I could actually be, working towards that. So I highly recommend it for you too.
Well, you'll just have to guide me.
I will.
Help.
And if anybody has any questions about it, feel free to message us, because I would love to help anybody that wants to get into voiceover. I think it's so fun.
I'm on my 5th cup of coffee today. I know what you're thinking. Who has that much coffee? And someone should really talk to her about that. No, I'm here to tell you the Café Brustel. This is a secret blend of coffee beans, and they're not telling. Trust me, I've tried. This is high quality espresso style coffee with smooth flavor that provides me with all day energy and minor heart palpitations. It's all right. Have a cup or 2 or 5 today.
Yeah.
What else do we have this month? We have a reel, right? We got another segment of reel.
We had a good reel.
Which I think is
we'll
Danielle
see.
Chitwood, right?
We're gonna try. Yes, we are talking to Danielle. We have a really good book that she recommended.
Danielle
and-
Chitwood has been on the show before. She's an amazing woman. We've known her for a long time. Yeah, she's an artist. If one of her episodes, you'll have to go back and look. It was probably from about a year ago.
Yeah.
And she talks about how she got into like writing greeting cards and designing them and drawing them and getting them lettering into Trader Joe's. And like she's distributing them into Trader Joe's. And she's pretty.
This bitch knows how to make shit work for her. And she's going through a transition in her life with a bunch of stuff. And so she was reading this book.
What's it called?
We'll let you guys. It's called Designing Your Life. It's actually these two Stanford guys that were professors at Stanford, and it was a private elective class. And now they've opened it up and they wrote a book and all this stuff. And it comes with like pamphlet. It comes with like things you can fill in, and like it's really cool. Yeah, but I want to get her perspective on it too, because she's actually going through it. But I feel like,
and she recommended the book.
She recommended it, yeah, and I trust her. Obviously.
And then our fifth Wednesday of the month, whenever there's 5 Wednesdays in a month, we do the bonus, which is where we actually pull an older episode.
Yeah.
And maybe we do the Chitwood one.
Oh, maybe.
Or is that two of the same?
Maybe too many Chitwoods.
Oh, Chitwood. I know, because we had two Laurens, then we have Chit, and then we'd have, I think Tyler's going to be on twice in like 2 months.
Yeah, but Tyler's second one is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
My God.
Yes.
We do a celebrity one with Tyler where we all three of us talk about all of our celebrity encounters, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, he's had some funny.
Yeah.
Some funny ones.
But yeah, I'm excited about this coming month. I hate having the extra week because it's hard on us, but I also love the fact that we get to pull something, because people don't necessarily want to go back to the old episodes, right? And some of them are edited weird, or some of them have different music or whatever, but it's fun to hear kind of where we came from, and where we would talk to amazing people who didn't get the luxury of being with us when we're so amazing.
When we had our shit together.
When we had our shit together.
It was when we had Rob, really. Yeah. Let's get real. The minute we got our producer, like life changed for us.
Oh, and now we're going with we're going to be with Wizard Radio.
Well,
we just signed a contract with a new distributor.
We sure did.
Is going to be sponsoring us.
Which we haven't even toasted to that yet. Cheers.
We haven't.
Because we signed online and we haven't been together since. So yeah, we're Wizard Radio. It's a UK-based radio, but they also have a podcast section. And they have some great podcasts, and they feel like we have a spot that they need to fill.
Yeah.
Like we have the content.
We have a hole for them to fill.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Always. Moms are too.
Got something to tell ya
right now.
Today.
Oh.
Hey, Mel, I got something to tell ya.
Okay. I'm here. I'm listening. We're in the same shirt for the last 3 episodes. It's fine. Yeah.
So I'm sure everybody at this point knows, and if you don't, I don't know what planet you're living on. But
look at you, wordsmith.
Jesus Christ. Extraterrestrials are real. Okay? Not that this is news to me, but whistleblowers came out that were in the military and stuff, that were flying these planes and working with the military, that aircraft was actually we have aircraft that is not human made. And one of the congresswomen, they had a thing today. I mean, this a couple of weeks now, like you're listening to it, but they had a congressional hearing, and one of the congresswomen asked, well, so if you have these crafts, then do you have the pilots, those that were flying it?
Yeah.
And they said, yes, we have the biologicals. And she was like, are they human? And he said, I think he said something like, I listed that in the briefing because
they're not human.
They're not allowed to say. But he said, yes, we did find biologicals.
Biologicals.
Yes. So
what do you think?
here's the I'm validated because I have watched Ancient Aliens for a really long time. And I have believed that all of that could be possible. I find it really interesting. And, you know, I'm one of those people where I hate like living in a box of thought, right? That's why I'm very spiritual, but religion is hard for me because I question everything. And I just feel like that it puts the reality of our existence in a box instead of, you know, so Ancient Aliens was always really interesting to me. And I will say George Taki or whatever his name is, he's one of the guys on Ancient Aliens. He on Twitter today, he was just like vindicated. Like he was so excited.
It's true though. It's true. Like ever since I was a little kid, I listened to Albert Bell. That's not a thing. Albert Bell is actually a baseball player. It's fine. Art Bell.
You listened to
Albert Bell is a baseball player.
Art Bell.
That is it's an old radio show. And I used to, when I first moved to Chicago, tuned in on my little tiny radio, put it under my pillow. He was an AM station. And every single night starting at 10 o'clock, Patty Vasquez comes up again. She's the one that got me into it. He has all of these spiritual irregularities, people that see ghosts, people that see alien encounters, all this stuff. And I would listen
to that like Coast to Coast?
It's Coast to Coast. Art Bell.
It is.
Yeah. Art Bell was the first. He started Coast to Coast.
Not Nori. What's that guy's name? Who's
George Nori? He's a second.
George
Nori
kind of got weird though.
Yeah, he got recently. They're
very. He's fallen on the conspiracy train big time. Like that,
and Art Bell is the early one.
The other stuff wasn't considered conspiracy stuff or like whatever, but he's fallen on the QAnon stuff. It's kind of getting
right. Yeah. Right. And Art Bell was very like, he was like silly and not silly. He took them seriously and he was kind, but he was like, oh, wow. Yeah. Like he kind of took a back seat to it. Right. And George Nori, yes, is kind of like this is how it is and bad. And he has like a thing. But no, go back and if they have them anywhere, listen to the first Coast to Coast years where it was Art Bell, where he really talked because people were coming out of the woodwork talking about this stuff. And I loved it. It was like on from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or something like that. So it got me through the whole night. Because I need to listen.
You and your go to sleep listening to some weird shit.
I was somewhere where I had this. I was at Sherry's house and she was like, "What is?" Yeah, I was at Sherry's house. Yeah, my sister. I was visiting her at the beach, and she was like, What's that thing around your neck?" And I was like, "Oh, those are my headphones I wear to bed." And they were like, "You wear headphones to bed?" Because I have like this hard little case.
That's like a necklace.
Yeah, it's awesome. It goes around my neck, and then at night I can just stick one of these in my ear, and then if I roll over, I can put the other one in my ear. But it isn't like having ear pods in, right? And so I can wear that at night. And they were like, "What are those things that you woke up with?" And I was like, "Oh, those are my ear pods because I listen to my murder casts while I sleep." And they were both like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Oh my god!
Because I used to listen to Art Bell.
Well, now you need to go listen to Art Bell again. And you need to go back and watch Ancient Aliens because there's like 80 episodes. Okay.
And it's fucking true.
No, like, but 80 episodes a season and there's like 40 seasons. My point is like it goes on.
Listen.
And aliens are real. And look.
Yeah.
Moms are too.